Lewis Hamilton says he's not sure what Mercedes could have done differently to beat Red Bull on Sunday after losing ground to Max Verstappen in the Formula One title race. Verstappen extended his World Championship lead to 12 points, but even admitting to having his own concerns before the race that Red Bull's aggressive strategy was the right one. The Dutchman needed to put in a 27-lap stint to the finish after the final round of pit stops and looked at risk of losing the win when Hamilton began to catch at a rate of 1 second per lap, cutting an 8-second gap down to less than 2. Formula One driver Juan Pablo Montoya felt that Red Bull's strategy was spot on and they almost couldn't be beaten.
They played it really smart because they played the undercut, and then it kind of forced Lewis's hand to pit when they brought Perez in, especially in medium tires. You know what I mean? If Lewis gets stuck behind Perez, then the race is over. So they really forced their hand, and I think Mercedes played a really smart race. They thought the tire drop at the end was going to be significant, and it was, but it wasn't enough. You would say from the beginning of the race, Max seemed to have a lot more pace than Lewis. He could follow a lot closer. Lewis could barely keep up, even with a lot fresher tires. So, it was one of those weekends that it was more of Red Bull throwing it away than anything else. In my opinion, I think Red Bull had the upper hand all weekend, and it showed in the race.
Yeah, it seemed, coming out of, turn 11 in particular, that Lewis just didn't really have the pace. The car didn't look as settled than the Red Bull did. So I know Toto Wolff said if we had a couple of more laps, you never really know what could have happened. But do you think that was kind of game, set and match for Max Verstappen when they got back through?
Yeah, I think when they got through, it was pretty much set. It was kind of interesting because if you pay attention, Max, when he made about 20 laps of his stint on the first set of tires, a little less than 20 laps, he was already struggling on the hard tires. So if you look at that from Mercedes' point of view, you say, okay, let's really extend it and make a big tire difference. And they did. It was 6-7 lap difference at the end that Lewis had fresher tires. And Lewis, even with that amount of fresher tires, couldn't really make that much of an impact. It took him a few laps to really get going. And yes, he was coming, but he was coming too late, in my opinion. I don't know if he managed the tires a little bit and he just waited a little bit too long. I think what he did in the last lap should have been done maybe with 3 laps to go to put a little more pressure.
Thoughts there of ex-F1 driver Juan Pablo Montoya.